Hey Christian, as promised, Sully here. Um, I seem to have fixed this problem temporarily. I ended up having to reboot the whole system. Sorry about that. Anyway, kind of basically what I wrote to you, but here's the video feedback. Um, what I was talking about earlier, unracking the squat correctly there. Good. Now, here's what I don't want. Your toes are pointing straight forward. Your stance width is probably about right. Might need to be a tiny bit narrower, but we'll keep it here for right now and just see. But these toes need to be pointing out about 30 degrees. That will enable you to recruit the active hip into the movement and to drive your knees out over your toes. So knees forward is incorrect in the starting strength model of the squat. We want your toes pointing out so that you can open up your hips at the bottom. And it's kind of amazing that you're able to go this deep without putting your toes out, although you can see that something's happening with this foot over here, right? Will help correct that as well. But you'll be able to go even deeper if you point your toes out. Now, I'm seeing a good back angle here. Bars held in a pretty good rack position. It's about 90% of the way there. We can worry about that later. Good back angle, and you're using hip drive to get out of the hole. I mean, that's exactly right. That part of it is exactly correct, right? You're maintaining a good back angle, driving hip straight up. The only thing that's missing here is the active hip. If you turn your toes out, drive your knees out over your toes, you'll be able to squat deeper and get more benefit from the exercise, more range of motion, more muscle mass, and you'll derive more strength from it. Everything else about this squat looks pretty good. You remember in your initial video, I couldn't see your feet, so I wasn't able to really comment about this earlier. We fixed that problem, and you're going to have a pretty good squat here. See, it's limiting your depth. The way it's limiting your depth is manifold, but one of the most important mechanisms by which this approach, oh, for heaven's sake, by which this approach limits your squat is as you get down to the bottom, you impinge soft tissue on your anterior thigh. When you point your toes out, you're able to drive your thighs out to the side, and you're really able to drop down in between your hips and get more depth. See, that is not to depth. Really nice hip drive and back angle, though. That's pretty much the one thing that we really need to fix, and this is going to be a pretty nice squat. There'll be other things to fix as we go forward because every time we change something, something changes. But for now, that's the only really major problem that I see with the squat. And it's a good problem to have because it's so easily fixed. All right, let's look at your press real quick. Even on the press, I want to be able to see your feet because curiously enough, you will find that we also want a toes out position at the bottom of the press. In fact, your press stance will look an awful lot, almost exactly like your squat stance. All the barbell exercises recruit this toes pointing out 30 degrees posture. Your stance is probably going to need to be wider than that. And the big thing that I noticed when I was looking at these this morning before I wrote your note is that these are basically push presses. So if we slow this one down, you've even got the elbows of a push press here. We'll talk about that in a second. So we slow this down. I'm trying to slow it down. Here we are. You look like you're getting ready to throw your hips, which is correct, right? But then you got a pretty vicious knee bend right here, right? And that's not what we want. These legs need to be held in rigid extension so that they can form part of a spring that will help drive the bar up, right? So your knees are going forward now instead of your hips. Then I can tell that you're coming up onto your toes, which is invited by that knee flexion position. And this basically turns into a kind of a push press, which we don't want. Your top position with the shrug is excellent. I need you to straighten out your wrists a little bit, but the big problem is that you're bending your knees. Now, this posture at the bottom makes me think about a push press or almost a clean. I mean, it's pretty obvious that you could rack a clean because this is like the clean racking position right here. The elbows need to be a little bit more underneath the bar. They need to be more like that, right? In fact, we want that forearm to be just barely in front of the bar. We want the tip of the elbow to be just barely in front of the bar. This is usually the opposite of what I have to tell people because most people hold the bar with their elbows behind the bar. Yours are way too far forward. This is a good position for a push press or for racking a clean, but it's not the correct elbow position for the starting strength press 2.0. And again, I want you to look at that video that I posted earlier. Again, these are both fairly easy problems to fix, so they're good problems to have. The way that you're holding the bar at the bottom, again, it looks like a clean here. So that means that when you actually start to press the bar is not in the correct part of your hand for the most efficient transmission of force. So I want you to look at the Press 2.0 video very carefully, the whole thing, and make sure that you're getting your grip and your arm position correct. And then fix those knees and you're going to have a pretty good press, not least because you have such a nice position at the top. You've got good shoulder mobility, and that's going to be a real blessing for you going forward. So a couple of problems there that we need to fix, but they're easy problems to fix. Same theme on the deadlift. A couple of problems to fix, but easy problems to fix. Camera's a little tilted here. You look like you're deadlifting in the Riddler's hideout. Don't know if you get that particular cultural reference, but so be it. So you've got an almost correct position here. Your knees might be a little too far forward, your hips might be a little bit low. And one reason I can tell that your hips are a little bit low is that they start to go up as you pull. When the bar comes off the floor, your body will be in the correct position to lift the bar from the floor because physics, right? So if your hips have to come up and the angles have to change at the moment that the bar comes off the floor, it means that you should have been pretty much in this position before you pulled. Now, continue to watch the pull here. That's probably more like the correct position that you needed to be in. The bar is on your shins as it comes up, and then it's floating maybe just a tiny bit in front of your thighs. The lockout position from the waist up is good, but again, I need these knees to be in full extension. I need those knees to be straight, right? That's more like it right there. So this is a good top position right here, right? The knees are straighter, the chest is up, the barbell should be balanced over the middle of the foot. And one more thing about this, Kristian, again, your toes need to be pointing out 30 degrees, just like they are in the squat. Stance is much narrower, but the toes are still going to be pointing out 30 degrees. So somewhere along the line, maybe in another exercise system or from a personal trainer, or, I don't know, maybe you were in the military at some point, somebody taught you to point those toes straight forward. I've been taught that in the past myself. But in the starting strength model, the toes are going to be pointing out 30 degrees for every movement, including the bench press. So start working that. Now, another way I can tell that your hips are too low and you're not in the correct position is that your knees are poking way forward of the bend in your elbow. When the knees poke way forward of the bend in your elbow like that, it means that your hips are too low and your knees are too far forward. It means also that the bar is probably too far forward of the middle of the foot, right? So if you see that your knees are poking out in front of your elbows, hips are too low and the bar is too far away. Good. Once again, I need those knees straight at the top. And that's pretty much what we see throughout this set. Watch as the bar, just as the bar is about to come up off the floor. See, your body puts itself, and Mother Nature puts you into the optimal physical position for pulling, for heaven's sake. And now you can sort of get on with the pull, right? Suggesting that not this position. See, the bar has to come back over the middle of the foot, right? Now things can really get underway. Your position should look a little bit more like this at the bottom. You have to open up your hip a little bit faster so that you're not too far out in front of the bar. Keep the bar on your legs, including your thighs, the whole time. When you're wearing shorts like this, the bar should drag your shorts up your leg. That's how close it should be to your thigh. So I can tell that the bar is floating just in front of your thigh. I need it on your leg the entire time. Good top position from the waist up, but this knee is still a little bit soft. This one is too, probably. So we've got some things to work on, but you have a really good foundation. You've got excellent mobility, and you've already built a little bit of strength. So I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing because these are all easy problems to fix. Let's get to work on them, and I'll look for some of those fixes to be in place in the next workout. This is the text that I wrote you earlier. Please take a look at the Starting Strength DVD content. Take a look at this article by Ripito on the active hip, and please, please, please take a look at this video on the Press 2.0, which is a really excellent working explanation of how we do the press. It was a good workout, Kristian, and I will see you in a couple of days. Talk to you then. Bye.